We had a very humble beginning. At the beginning, we have 1,200 square feet, and there was no AC in the place. There's no Wi-Fi even. And we actually had to buy used tables and furniture to get us started.
One of the instances where we were trying to, get equipment and you don't want to spend a lot of money up front. This big Typhoon scanner that we saw on eBay, I think for 10 grand. And usually that piece of equipment is like 150 grand. And trying to figure out what that price difference was, I went out to Boss and Woburn, and it was missing a filter, but maybe they didn't know what they had, and maybe they did know what they had, but it looked like maybe it fell off the back of the truck, but we're still using it today. So that was a pretty good deal.
And even though we're at a new beautiful building that's bigger than the space we need and is planned to grow into, it's really that gritty aspect of, I think, what formed us and why we've made it to where we've made it.
The most important ingredient for success in any company, I think, is people and the culture. And it's really, really critical to find the right people that fits in your culture and vice versa.
We had a good mission from the beginning and we know what our goal was, but how you're going to get there is science, right? And you have to, listen to the science, try to will it in the way you want it to go, but ultimately take that feedback, make changes, pivot, readjust. And I think that's something that we still try to do today as we've got the first product on the market, but we have aspirations for even bigger things, right? It's really listening to the data and being willing to sort of be open to taking on really hard challenges and figuring out clever solutions that can be solved, but you don't exactly know how yet.
Doing sequencing as a first product is actually extremely challenging because this market has been dominated by one player for so many years, for decades. Now we are starting a new sequencing company. It's almost like a David and Goliath situation. It requires special people. It's all about teamwork, empowering people, empower your teammates, empower our future customers, empower our partners, empower patients down the road. It's not just about us, it's about, making improvements for the world. Being authentic is not only important for being a very straightforward person, genuine person, but also building a strong company that is mission-driven. I am very fortunate to have assembled this team. I almost feel like it's almost impossible to have every single one of them so engaged, so passionate about our vision.
The team is superb. I mean, the technology is truly transformational. They've built a world-class platform. It is a completely different approach to DNA sequencing. And so you're surrounded by just like world-class experts on the sort of chemistry, engineering side. And now we're bringing in a commercial team to match them.
It's important that we hire people who are excited about making a difference in the industry so they can make a dent and tell their kids, tell their families, and like, hey, I've accomplished something I did not think I can. So that requires a very different kind of mentality. And once we find those people, we want to make sure they have room to grow. All these 310 people today I have very high level of respect for those who actually chose to join Element to, do the hard work to make a difference.
It's just this amazing working environment. The office space on one side and the lab space on the other, and there's glass windows between, so you get a chance to see what the researchers are working on. They're working on next generation platforms and the excitement that they have for it. It's a great environment to work in. Really positive, really encouraging.
It's not an easy challenge to come into a market that's established and deliver higher data quality, and to do it from scratch, from the ground up. The avidity technology and the biochemistry that's in there wasn't the idea that was in the pitch deck from day one, right? That had to evolve, and that evolved from, challenges and setbacks and seeing things that didn't work.
I think if you were to propose in the early 2000s that there would be technologies that allowed you to routinely sequence human genomes for hundreds of dollars to low thousands of dollars a sample, it would have been laughable. The goals in the sequencing field since the start of the Human Genome Project have been to reduce the cost of sequencing to make more and more applications not only accessible, but also possible. The idea is that there's a platform now without compromises. No need to compromise on capital equipment costs, no need to compromise on run costs, and most importantly, no need to compromise on data quality.
Because that's something we can do the best in today's market. High data quality that translate to more accurate clinical interpretation, for example, and everybody loves that. A lot of customers, they're very interested in fast turnaround time. So if they send their samples out to get the sample sequence, they have to wait for many, many weeks to get the results back. Science cannot wait.
2 independent flow cells, 800 million or more reads per flow cell, data quality in excess of Q40, greater than 90% or 95%, often observed at greater than Q30. And so those metrics are important for a wide variety of applications. We've launched the platform as a sequencer, but the innovations in the surface chemistry, the innovations in the sequencing chemistry, the avidity basis of the methodology that's used to deliver that high data quality, that can be leveraged in a wide variety of directions. So you can really think of it as more of a science box than a sequencer. So what Element has also done is taken an opportunity to stay with a benchtop sequencer. Benchtop sequencer, relatively low capital equipment costs, relatively low running costs, and in fact, probably one of the lowest running costs in history in terms of a per experiment basis. So we've just reopened the door to taking risk and taking a chance on new applications, because it doesn't cost a lot to run the sequencer. But at the same time, for existing applications, you get a high value for those runs.
What Element have done have built a completely different strategy towards DNA sequencing. The approach that they've taken has been thoroughly, warmly embraced by the marketplace. We hear a lot of incredibly positive feedback from customers, from partners. Academic researchers come forward because they're hearing really positive press that's in the market and are excited to be able to offer this, because now they can basically have higher quality sequencing at a much more affordable price. The flexibility that it offers compared to what's available on the marketplace today. So those customers are telling us, hey, I like the fact that I can run different types of sample on different sides of the AVD instrument and use that to be able to provide different types of services in a much more flexible way to their clients.
Even though the capital equipment cost is relatively low, especially relatively low to our peers, there's a strong desire to have that same equipment retain its capabilities or even expand on its capabilities in the future. We want to encourage tinkering with the box, right? We want to encourage people being creative with it. Solutions aren't driven by individual companies. Solutions are driven collectively by a field, and that field is driven by scientists, clinicians, basic researchers, and of course, very, very smart engineers, computer scientists, and scientists that are even within those commercial organizations, but it truly takes a community. Next round of releases into the field is really how the platform's features end up as benefits in scientists' hands.
There's lots of possibilities how you can take the technology we've built and repurpose it for other things. And that's something that's, it's nice that flexibility is in there and it was designed for that. But it can also be, pointed at the genomics field and be an incredibly useful tool that researchers can have the access to, in their labs, in their hands. In the end, the whole system could be repurposed for additional assays in other directions.
We'll spend a lot of time reaching out to people and seeing what the scientific community needs and reaching out to other industry partners to see how they can be helpful in unifying some of the testing or assays that need to be built. And I think that will be probably a big important step in our lifeline.
Our data quality is the best as of today.
It's a super interesting time for us at Element. We've been a technology company really developing world-class sequencing platform, but now we changed to being a commercial company. It's about how do you actually take that into the market, bring it to customers, and really drive that democratization of sequencing within the marketplace. So the future for our clinical commercial organization will be to partner and drive into clinical space, including oncology, into inherited disease, and in other areas where we see real opportunity for sequencing.
Other people could come up with much, much better technology. We don't know. And that is the beauty of competition. And competition encourages innovation. And that's what we want to see in the field, because in the end, the customers, the patients will benefit from it.
Now we really want to basically push the biology side to things. And that's something that we had intended to do when we started the company. And so I think we did a good job of what we put together. And now it's a matter of delivering on the other things that we want to put together.
What the sequencing field has seen is every time there's a new tool that gets placed in the field, clever researchers come up with ways to use it that maybe surprise even the people who developed it. And I think that, it wouldn't surprise me with Aviti if we see, the same situation there, where smart, creative researchers that are out in the field today are developing, what this box is really perfect for and enables what could be possible tomorrow. We've tried to be, philosophically from day one, a very open company that's willing to work with researchers to meet their needs. The whole point of the company was to meet unfilled needs of the community. And you only do that by having an ear to what the researchers are saying and being open to work with people to, to tweak assays, to move pieces of technology, to better enable, the future of the direction of science.
Overall, the feedback from customers far across the globe has been, overwhelmingly supportive, and we're very, very excited for what that means for the future.
Yeah, I'd say the platform has tremendous headroom. There's going to be great things to see from Element year in and year out. By developing a novel underlying or foundational technology, and doing so in a way that encourages creativity, we can then layer on top of that almost an unlimited number of applications where our only limits are just ideas that people have. Drawing a new starting line, right? A new starting line to say, hey, we have a new idea, we're going to do it our way, and we're going to do it our way in ignorance of everything that's come before it. What Element did instead is said, we're going to draw a new starting line, but it's not at the beginning of the race. It's at, knowing we're midway through the race. And reinvent all of the technologies, from the chemistry to the surface chemistry, to the analytical methods, to the imaging. But what's important to note is that the vision of the company doesn't stop there. It's really to invent a new way to look at science and a new way to look at technology that builds on the shoulders or stands on the shoulders of everything that's come before it.
Personally, for me, it's definitely worth the hard work, because I know what we're doing is going to change the field.